Saudi?
Well, believe it or not, I've only actually been to Dublin once. That was in July of 2014 when Conor McGregor fought Diego Brandao. And I've been dying to come back ever since. And I've been waiting for the event that I think could replicate that atmosphere. Till this day, till this moment, I believe that's the best atmosphere that I've ever witnessed in person. There have been some that have come close. MSG last year, Taylor Serrano comes close, but nothing compared to July 2014, because as you may recall, it was one Irish fighter after the next, building up, right? It was like Paddy Houlihan, and then it built up to Conor, and then it was just an explosion. Never experienced anything like that. It was intoxicating, and I've been dying to experience it. I've been a big fan of Katie Taylor's. I've said on my show publicly, if she ever gets to fight in Ireland, I would love to be there. And when DAZN reached out to me and said, we want you to work on the Jake Paul, Nathan Diaz fight, makes sense, you know, I have a relationship with both. I said, great, cool, but I need to work on that show on May 20th. That one means a lot to me personally as a fight fan. I need to be here, so I can't wait. I'm buzzing. I'll do anything. Like I said, you know, I'll get his coffee if they, I'm pretty much stopping short at anything, but I'm just here to help out and do whatever I can because I wanted to be in that building again. And what I love so much about it, sorry for going long, it's not a cupcake fight. She could have sold out the 3 Arena fighting a broomstick. She's not fighting a broomstick. She's fighting arguably one of her toughest opponents to date, and that to me says it all about Katie Taylor.
You said anything, Eddie? Anything planned?
Well, I mean, as you know, the money that Ariel Helwani charges these days to be here off the goodness of his own heart for no fee is an incredible gesture. I think we should give him a round of applause for that.
Thank you.
Well done, Ariel.
I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. No, I said I'd love to be here. I didn't want to be here for free, obviously. I mean, let's not get crazy.
Question for Ariel and Eddie. What were your memories from Taylor Serrano, the build-up, Jake Paul, and things like that?
For me, it was sitting in the corral next to Jake Paul, just screaming, you know, and just, I think the thing that stands out is probably the only mega fight that I've been involved with where I actually stood back and just looked around, and that was with her famous ring walk, Katie. And you know, every Katie Taylor fight of magnitude, I will say to her or say to Brian Peters, have you thought about this song? You know, the Cranberries or whatever it might be, you know, and they always say, she will say to me, shut up, like, you know, and then some other song will come on. And that day, which was a church song that played, it was just unbelievable. And I've never seen her walk so slow. I remember someone lobbed an Irish flag at me, hit me in the face, and I put it around my neck. And, you know, I was just looking at Katie Taylor, just walking out so slowly. And it was one of the few fights that I've actually looked back and gone, wow, how did we get here? You know, we're not in Dublin now, we're in Madison Square Garden, and it's a sellout. And after the fight, in the ring, just, you know, when they said, and still, it was just an amazing feeling. And a little bit, you know, we had a bad night there when AJ fought Ruiz. I mean, Katie beat Pursoon that night, but it was like pretty bad memories of that place. And it was nice to get the good one.
Yeah, I love that venue. It means a lot to me. I'm a huge New York Knicks fan, so to see a historic event like that, first time in the 140-plus year history of MSG, 2 women headlining, especially those 2 women. The thing I will never forget was, and you could attest to this, it felt to me like 50-50, hardcore Puerto Rican fans, hardcore Irish fans, which made for an incredible atmosphere. The chanting, the singing, all that stuff. I mean, up there, like top 5 greatest nights that I've ever, you know, attended personally.
For Ariel, you're obviously here before with Conor McGregor, but I'm interested in how do you compare the fanfare for Conor McGregor at that time and Katie Taylor now?
So it's very interesting. When I was here for Conor, it was 2014, right? He was on the rise. And I remember being at the open workout, which was a similar scene to today. And I remember meeting a bunch of kids outside on their bikes, and they were asking me, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm here for the Conor McGregor open workout. I wasn't sure if Ireland truly knew who he was. And they're like, oh yeah, we know Conor McGregor. And I said, why do you like him? And they said, Conor makes us believe that we could be something, that we can get out of here and make an impact on the global stage. And I'll never forget that interaction. Fast forward to today, Katie's not on the rise. Katie has arrived, right? She is a megastar, certainly here. And to see these kids at the open workout, like I felt like I was at a Justin Bieber concert. To see kids, young girls, young boys screaming at the top of their lungs. Like usually you go to these open workouts and it's teenagers, it's 20-year-olds, it's 30-year-olds. They want to take a picture. It's not, like I have kids that age and they're not watching fighting. These kids are there to see Katie Taylor because to them, she's the most famous sports person in this country. Not just the most famous fighter, not the most famous female fighter, most famous sports person in this country. That's a huge deal. And that transcends fighting. So it feels a little bit different because Conor was like on this rocket ship. This feels like the coronation. This feels like the homecoming, the celebration. And so there's the difference. But both spectacular. And I'm not one of these people who tries to talk about Katie to put down Conor or talk about Conor to put down Katie. They can both survive. They can both thrive. And I love the fact that they're working together, that Conor's sponsoring this event, supporting her. Because let's be honest, he's always supported her since she turned pro.
Thanks very much.
Gary, you spoke with Conor being on the rise. You're on the rise. I mean, you're flashy like Conor a little bit. The beard and all that, the haircut, almost like that. But what I will say is that lightweight division that you're in is probably one of the most dangerous stacked divisions there is in Shakur Stevenson. Tank, if he goes down there, I know he was at 146 for Ryan Garcia, you've got David Haney, Lomachenko, yourself, Matthew Hughes over here.
Andy Cruz.
Andy Cruz, yeah. Isaac
He's not there yet. He's not there yet.
I mean, it's what division you're in. So, Conor was on the rise, like Ariel said, me sort of headline and the fanfare. Are you there yet, do you think?
Well, I think that's what Saturday is about for me. That's what I want to do. I want to build a fan base back home. A lot of Irish boxing fans and fighting fans across the UK and Ireland know who Gary Cully is, but I want to become a name to the Irish sports fans and just Irish households. And Saturday night, I think, is the first step in doing that. I want to come back here towards the end of the year, headline myself, and become a headline act and start forging my own path and my own legacy. And then I think the start of 2024, mid-2024, I'm ready to go over and take on them big names.
You mentioned the UK fans know you now, obviously, with the two fights that you've had on Eddie's cards, spectacular knockouts. Eddie, you've known to take fighters like Gary Cully over to the US to sort of establish them over there. Is he destined to go to the US this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's that kind of entertainer. You know, he knocks people out. You know, he's a huge lightweight. You know, a very tricky style as well. Quite unique in that, you know, can sometimes be awkward, which is good, but also heavy-handed and knocking people out with that style. It's quite unique. You don't really see that. Sometimes a fighter that's tall and rangy is just awkward. But he's tall, rangy, awkward, powerful, slick. He's got all of that stuff. And also, when it's quite easy it's a lot easier to take Irish fighters to America than it is to take English fighters to America. I mean, there's a gentleman down on the end who really benefited off the fact that there is a lot of Irish people, passionate people who live in America. And, you know, Gary Cully's the kind of guy that can do that. I mean, we did it with Katie Taylor. We've got the experience of going to Boston, to Philadelphia, of course, to New York as well. And we know where those pockets are. And I think he's going to be in the kind of fights that are going to really attract people over there.
I'd just say, why not bring them here? Because you got a guy who can sell out arenas, who will be selling out arenas, and those guys, they don't really sell too well over there. You know, they find small places and they're half full. And like Eddie said, southpaw, 6'2", can punch. Yeah, he has the dimensions to trouble all these guys.
Only 6'2"?
6'3".
2.5 maybe.
With his heels on. With his diva heels on.
But yeah, Irish, and here we get behind our own, you know, we come out, we support. Obviously, Katie's event on Saturday night it's sold out and it's sold out in minutes, but we do that for each other, you know. When one goes to war, we all go to war. It's cliche, but it is an Irish thing. We're the fighting Irish, and we do come out in droves to support each other. So I believe I can come back here, bring the Americans over here, sell out arenas over here too, you know.
I've got a question for you. Do you feel the pressure to deliver an entertaining performance on Saturday? Because this is the kind of fight, this guy's durable, isn't he? We saw him in with Sandor Martin. We know he's been, you know, distanced with some good fighters. But to be that headline act, you've got to almost continue what you've been doing, which is knocking people out, hurting people. That's what people love to see, isn't it? Bit of a stiffer test for you in that respect with this opponent on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. Jose Felix has been in with, like you said, Sandor Martin went the distance. Tyrone McKenna, who's a gym mate of mine, and went the distance as well. But every time I get in, look, winning is number one priority for me, but after that everything is a bonus. But I'm getting in there to perform, to entertain, to be exciting. I feel like I know the game, I know what people want to see, and people have to want to tune in and watch you fight, and I come to entertain every time. I say, you know how I'm coming to take your head off, and that's really my style, you know. I'm coming in there to fight. If needs be, I believe I've got a good boxing skill set. I can get behind the jab, and I can do that very well as well. But first and foremost, I'm coming out and I'm coming to fight, like, you know.
How do you see the Devin Haney versus Lomachenko fight going?
I think if it was 2 years ago, it would have went a lot differently. I think Devin's just a lot bigger now, fresher, younger. Loma's obviously a great boxer and has a great skill set, but I think it's just come about 2 years too late for him. Obviously, can't write him off. He's like I said, he's a great fighter, but I believe it's just Devin's time now, and I think he'll win.
I just wanted a question just in relation to kind of everything we're talking about with Gary and the opportunities that you're putting in front of him and the rest of the Irish fighters that are on the card this weekend. Is there a plan in place, if everything goes well, to kind of invest in a next generation of Irish fighter? There's been a lot of excitement with kind of the new pros and amateurs planning to go pro in Ireland at the moment, because their biggest complaint is that they feel there's a lack of opportunity for them. So is Matchman to put a plan in place?
Yeah, I think that we haven't signed enough, and I don't think any promoter has signed enough young Irish talent from the Olympics, from, you know, of that pedigree, World Championship pedigree, for that reason. You know, when you're building a fan base, it's very difficult when there's no shows in Ireland to just bring a fighter over and box him in England and build him there. You can do it, and if they're good enough, you'll do it. But, you know, you've got fighters that are coming through. I mean, someone said today about how does the future look for Irish boxing? Fantastic, because you've got so much talent, and you always have. It's not like you're not going to have fighters that are going to have. Now, how far they can go is dependent on them and their team. But, you know, even from the female side, I mean, I know Kelly Harrington isn't interested in turning pro, but Amy Broadhurst has achieved so much, and there's other great, you know, I watched a lot of them in the Commonwealth Games. That young Jude Gallagher, he was there today. I didn't even recognise him today. He had a photo with me and then posted it. But I thought in the Commonwealth Games, wow, that kid can really fight. And, you know, I think you've got a great Irish system. Mr. Conlon, who we have a bit of a love-hate relationship with, because we were going at each other during the Lee Wood fight, but I love him and I really respect him, and I think he's a great coach, and I think the whole set-up system, amateur system, and it's going to get really interesting. This is a bit deep, but, you know, with the whole... Jesus Christ, okay, all right. That was interesting. Okay, did we get that on camera, yeah? Okay, lovely. I don't know, because I shit myself there, to be honest with you. Oh. Never seen that happen before. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. And thanks for coming. That was lovely. On a serious note, when I talk about the AIBA split, the problem now is that this is a really interesting conversation. AIBA now are doubling prize funds for world championships, right? So if you're a female amateur, you can win $100,000, $50,000 and $25,000 for gold, silver and bronze in the Worlds. The men is $200,000, $100,000 and $50,000. And they've just announced that they're doubling both prize funds next year. But the IOC has announced that you can no longer qualify through the World Championships. So Ireland have pulled out of the World Championships, and now you can qualify through another means, I think the European Championships. But it's a really interesting dynamic. I'm glad I'm not involved in those politics where, as a young fighter, you could be a fighter that's a favourite to win the Worlds. Next year, you win $400,000 for winning the World Amateur Championships. You know what I mean? But as an Irish amateur, you're being told you're not allowed to enter because we don't support it, which I understand as well. But at the same time, it's just like, I feel as an amateur, if you can't get in the Olympics, like, that's a real dangerous crossover between getting paid in the amateurs and, you know, and like, we got Beatriz Ferreira, right, who is an unbelievable female fighter, part of the Brazilian team. She just won the World Championships. She won $100,000. She's got to come back and have 6 rounds for me in Sheffield on July 1st for a lot less money. It's interesting though, Andy, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, and listen,
you were in the amateurs.
There's
and
also an element of funding as well, you know, from the government. If you can't enter these championships, you can't win those medals, you can't, you know, secure your funding for your next year's boxing. So the politics of amateur boxing now, it's like, they talk about the corruption in pro boxing. That's what they tell you when you're an amateur. Don't turn pro, they'll rob you blind. But listen, the amateur game is it's cutthroat, isn't it? It's dirty and
Especially now with no head guards. I mean, it's prize
Yeah.
fighting anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is great stuff, and I feel like more of this conversation is to come. We're going to let the fans in here. We're going to end the media Q&A portion of this little roundtable. I don't know if we're going to fix the back before we go live.
And it was intentional.
Yes.
Because we wanted to bring it down dramatically and show you the JD
look at
tills and the screens and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we got the face off. So we'll be back in a moment. Stand by.